Okay, so here we are live once again, and like I said, I was going to try to do this one a little early because I want to make sure that, you guys got plenty of time all day today to watch this special episode that I'm really excited about. I even dressed for the occasion. You guys have seen this shirt before because I love this shirt. Because I love Captain America. Captain America is my favorite Marvel superhero, and here I have something really cool for you today. It's a Marvel Superheroes Captain America action figure from 1990. This one was made by Toy Biz. Now you can see the Toy Biz logo down there. Now we've talked about Toy Biz a little bit on this show, mainly when I was talking about the Batman movie figures. And of course, in 1989, when the Batman movie came out, Toy Biz was just getting started, and their first action figures they made were for the 1989 Batman movie, and they also made some figures in a subline called DC Superheroes, and they weren't that great. I mean, I know a lot of people have a lot of nostalgia for those 1989 Batman figures, and trust me, I'm one of them. I did love those figures, but they weren't quite as good as the ones that Kenner made a few years before. And in fact, like at best, they were kind of like knockoffs of the previous superpowers figures that Kenner had made. So the second wave that they did of DC superheroes was even worse because at least with the first ones, they were copying the Kenner superpowers sculpts, and the ones where they weren't, say Batman, which was supposed to look more like the movie, and Bob the Goon, who was like the only original character that they did. Those were pretty decent. Not as good as what Kenner gave us later on when they did Dark Knight Collection. Uh, but they were all, even the Riddler was kind of based off of the sculpt of the Flash, if you really look at it. So, but the second wave was where they tried to do all original sculpts, and those were not good. That was the first Two Face action figure that was ever made, by the way, and in that wave of figures. But not a very good figure. Those figures weren't very good, I gotta say. So Kenner, who had foolishly, short-sightedly let their DC Comics license lapse and let Superpowers end. If they'd held on just another couple of years, they'd had a much better deal. But they had to pay through the nose to get the rights to Batman, just for Batman, mind you. They didn't even get the rest. They probably couldn't afford to get the rest of the DC characters at that point, given how much they paid for Batman. But Toy Biz wasn't done doing superhero figures, not by a long shot. And I guess they figured, we already tried our hand at DC, that didn't work out so well. Let's get the other big comic book company. Let's get Marvel. And frankly, Marvel Comics, I mean, aside from the popularity of, the Batman movie at the time, and Superman being one of the world's most famous superheroes, those were certainly popular characters. But Marvel Comics, the actual comics themselves, were selling a lot better at that time, and pretty much since then there's been times when DC would sell better than Marvel, but usually Marvel is the top dog as far as comic book sales. So yeah, you can see here they had a pretty decent assortment of Marvel characters. You had the Incredible Hulk, the Silver Surfer, Doctor Octopus, Captain America, Doctor Doom, Daredevil, the Punisher, and of course the Amazing Spider-Man, because you can't have a line of Marvel superheroes without Spider-Man. Uh, what you might notice that's missing also is the X-Men, which to me, that was kind of a glaring omission. I would have expected at least to see a figure of the most popular X-Men character, Wolverine, but nope, no X-Men in this entire line of Marvel superheroes. What I did not know at the time, and was excited to find out later, is that Toy Biz was actually going to put X-Men in their own separate line. So that meant instead of just getting like a token Wolverine figure like I would have expected, I got Wolverine, I got Cyclops, I got Storm, Colossus, Nightcrawler. That's a pretty decent team of X-Men, right? And then for the villains, we had Magneto, Juggernaut, and Apocalypse. So even a good assortment of villains in that first wave. Now, these figures weren't the best. And you can see, and this is the main reason I bought this, because I've been really into superpowers lately, and that led me to other lines involved with superpowers, like the Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and of course the movie and animated series Batman figures that were kind of offshoots of superpowers in a way. Uh, that led me to this one because, like I said, I love Captain America, my favorite Marvel superhero, and I was like, you know what? It's almost like a superpowers figure of Captain America. They still had a lot of superpowers influence in these figures. You can see like he's got the same sort of angle to the arms, and we got this beat up Superman over here, so we can use him to demonstrate. Oh, that's the one I took the head off of. You don't want to see that. That's for a custom project. I should still have Green Lantern around here somewhere, because where is he? I don't want to use the modern Green Lantern. I don't want to use the McFarlane one. I want to use, well, here's another Superman. This is one with a head. Okay. So, but he's got like the same sort of angle to the arms, and it's a similar type of sculpt. So, but this was, I think, probably the best out of this wave. This is probably the best figure. And I'm not just saying that because Captain America is my favorite character. There's a lot of cool things about this figure. I'll get into it when I open it up. But yeah, like Daredevil was pretty decent. Punisher was pretty decent. They kind of ripped off the cap firing backpack that the RoboCop and the Ultra Police line had around the same time. And he had a good assortment of weapons. The Hulk was kind of cool, but his face looked like he was kind of constipated, like, not necessarily like an angry Hulk like you expect, but more but other than that, he was okay. Dr. Doom could have been better. Dr. Octopus was cool because he had like the bendy tentacles. The figure itself was just kind of okay, a little on the puny side, but the bendy tentacles, those made that figure. And Spider-Man, they did a good job with the paint applications, with the webs and everything, I thought, but the figure's pose itself was kind of stiff. Like, a superpowers kind of pose works for Captain America, but for Spider-Man, it just made him look kind of stiff. Silver Surfer was okay, too. So this was a pretty decent... I would say this was better than any of the DC figures that Toy Biz put out. So there's definitely an improvement on that. And they would continue to improve in leaps and bounds. By the time they got to the second wave of X-Men, I kind of feel like that's where Toy Biz finally found their footing. And most of the Toy Biz figures of the 90s that you think of, it's like from X-Men Wave 2 and forward. And I guess it would have been Marvel Superheroes Wave 3. But yeah, once they got into the X-Men animated and the Spider-Man animated and the Iron Man animated and the Fantastic Four animated, that was when they started to put out some really good high quality figures. I think some of the best superhero action figures of the 90s. And of course, the main thing they had to compete with was Kenner and their Batman line. And Batman the Animated Series rocked. So like, it was a good time to be collecting superhero action figures. That's what I got to say about that. But this Captain America figure, I thought they did a good job with him. I like the artwork here. It looks very reminiscent of John Romita Sr. Probably actually artwork that he drew and somebody airbrushed over and made it look nice. And there's kind of a similar pose on the back, but that one to me looks more like not necessarily Jack Kirby, but somebody trying to ape the style of Jack Kirby. And it's got a bio on the back. It says, Captain America is the ultimate soldier for justice. With his awesome star-studded shield, he proves it. To prepare Cap's shield for crime-fighting action, oh, they tricked me, it's directions too. Gently push the extension of the shield along the top of the shield launcher until it locks into position. Then snap the launcher onto Captain America's wrist. Aim it at your target and press the release button on the side of the shield launcher, and watch how quickly Cap's fast flying shield knocks criminals off their feet. Not only that, but Cap's wrist launcher and shield can both be attached separately to his wrist, thus making him ready for any and every attack. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention also with the cross-sell artwork, we have a Marvel Superheroes Training Center, which, as I remember, had a lot of gimmicks that each related to a different superhero, be it Spider-Man, like you can see the web panel in the front there, or the Silver Surfer had like a ramp. You could uh, roll the surfboard over. His surfboard had a friction-powered motor on it that it could roll along the floor. And then we also have Captain America's Turbo Coupe, an original vehicle that they created for this line, and it's pretty cool. It's kind of like a red, white, and blue Trans Am, and then Spider-Man Dragster, which Spider-Man driving a car is kind of goofy. Captain America, I would have preferred for him to have a motorcycle, to be honest, because that's traditionally what they show Captain America as riding. Also, you could get 9 issues of your favorite Marvel comic for only $4.50. That is, if your favorite Marvel comic was either Amazing Spider-Man, Captain America, or Silver Surfer. And I would have been happy with any of those. Like those were both on those were all 3 on really good runs at that time. Like it was towards the tail end of Mark Gruenwald on Captain America, probably my favorite Captain America writer. Amazing Spider-Man, I think, was during the Eric Larson period, right after Todd McFarlane, right before Mark Bagley. And Silver Surfer, I think Ron Lim was the artist on Silver Surfer at that time. And of course, he was a really talented guy. So, or still is. I think he's still around. I don't know if he works in comics anymore, though. Anyway, let's go ahead and open him up. And came open really easily, probably because the glue on here is so old. Didn't take much effort to get that off of there at all. I'm glad that I bought it since I was going to open it up rather than somebody buying it who wanted to keep it mint on package and then maybe it would just fall off one day. All right, and you can see the package is kind of yellowed anyway. The cardboard bubble on it. That's over 30 years old, remember? All right, so we got the accessories out of here, and we have Captain America throws his mighty shield. Because you gotta have a shield for a Captain America action figure. One of the things that really disappointed me about the Secret Wars Captain America is that since all the Secret Wars figures came with those goofy secret message shields, Captain America didn't come with a proper shield. So the first Captain America, well, technically, Captain Action came with a Captain America suit. I mean, there was a Captain. He didn't come with it; it was in the line, so you could get a suit and dress Captain Action up like Captain America. I think he was. If he wasn't I think he was the first Marvel superhero. I think they did Spider-Man later on, and they had Sergeant Fury, not Nick Fury, Sergeant Fury specifically as part of that line. He's a little sticky. Probably from being in that package so long. I might want to like clean him off with maybe some rubbing alcohol or something. But that wasn't really an action figure of Captain America. That was an outfit that you dressed another action figure up like Captain America. So the first real Captain America action figure was made by Mego in the 1970s, their 8-inch Captain America figure. And that one wasn't very accurate to the comics because he didn't have any gloves and he had straight blue sleeves. And of course, he didn't have the chainmail on the outfit because it was just a fabric outfit. But, we loved that figure anyway, even with the inaccuracies. Oh, and his boots weren't like pirate boots like this. They were just like reused Superman boots. So they did a 12-inch version. That one did come with pirate boots, and it did have white sleeves, and at least it had red glove cuffs, but his hands were still flesh colored. Unfortunately, they put that one on a smaller body than they should have. They should have used the big muscular body, and the head probably was actually too big for the muscle body, but it was way too big for the skinny body. So you get this weird, skinny, bobble-headed Captain America. Looks like what he would have looked like before he took the super soldier serum, but still put on the outfit. But I still loved that figure. I loved him a lot. They did a couple of 3 3/4-inch figures with the comic action heroes and with the pocket superheroes, both of which suffered from various inaccuracies. Like, I don't think they painted in the stripes on either one of those figures. I think they had the stripes sculpted in, but they were still just blue stripes around the middle. And then you had the Secret Wars one, which that one had its own problems. Like he didn't have ears, still didn't have the scales because they just used kind of a generic buck that they reused for like Magneto, I think. And they at least from the waist up, I think they used different legs for Magneto because he didn't have the pirate boots. But Captain America didn't have ears, and like I said, he didn't have a proper shield. So I was really excited when I saw this guy in the store. Very accurate to the comic book. He's got the white sleeves like he ought to have. He's got the chainmail tunic like he ought to have. He's got a star on the front and the back. He's got the proud letter A on his forehead. He's got the pirate boots. This is Captain America as I grew up reading him in the comic books. This is the guy that Thor, the mighty Thor himself, said, I would follow that man through the gates of hell. And if Thor says that about somebody, you know they're badass. So, Captain America was probably one of the earliest Marvel superheroes of note. Not the first. The first would have been Submariner, who first appeared before Marvel Comics #1, actually. But they reprinted that story in Marvel Comics #1. And the Human Torch and the original version of the Angel and the original version of the Vision. The original Human Torch was an android, and the original Vision was a character from another dimension. So kind of a little different from what you guys are used to. Also, the Angel was just kind of a dude. Like, imagine if Batman dressed like Superman. That's pretty much what the original Angel was. Hello there, Sean Franklin. Welcome to the show. I'm talking about this vintage Captain America I just opened up. I'm really excited about it. So yeah, Captain America came along right before World War II, like literally like weeks before, well, not before World War II, but before America's involvement in World War II, literally weeks before the bombing of Pearl Harbor. Captain America hit the stands at a time where it would have actually been controversial to show a picture of a superhero punching Bad Mustache Man on the cover. We're not going to say his name for algorithmic purposes, but rhymes with Shitler. So yeah, he was punching Bad Mustache Man on the cover because when Joe Simon came up with the idea of Captain America, he was trying to come up with an idea for a new superhero, and he was looking at Batman, who was a really popular character at the time. And what he decided about Batman was that the coolest thing about Batman was the villains. And he's like, well, who's a worse villain than the Bad Mustache Man who's causing trouble in Europe right now and causing trouble for us Jews over there. So he did not like Bad Mustache Man. Jack Kirby, the original artist of Captain America, also not a fan of Bad Mustache Man. Legend has it that some supporters of the bad guys in World War II came to Marvel Comics to start some stuff with the people who did Captain America, and they were in the lobby demanding to speak to him, and Jack Kirby just happened to be in the office at that time, so he took off his jacket, rolled up his sleeves, and went downstairs to meet these fellas. And I'm guessing it didn't end very well for them, because like Captain America, Jack Kirby liked to punch the bad guys in World War II. Jack Kirby killed a lot of the bad guys in World War II because he was an Army Ranger. And he was the guy who worked point and went out, and they knew he knew how to draw the brass. So they sent him out to draw maps behind the scene. And he saw a lot of action. Jack Kirby was a bad motherfucker. So do not mess with Jack Kirby. So anyway, Captain America was so popular during World War II that when Marvel Comics was bringing superheroes back and doing superheroes again, he was brought back to join the Avengers and has been a mainstay in Marvel Comics ever since. So yeah, little brief history of Captain America there. So let's talk about the articulation on this figure real quick. Let me talk about like I said, the sculpting's really good. He's got like the chainmail over there. He's got kind of like that superpowers kind of posed, the arms and everything. His legs are maybe a little close together, whereas superpowers tended to have that little bit of a stance to them. You see, and he's a little loose, this old Superman. But Captain America is standing a little more tightly wound. But like I said, Toy Biz was getting better. They were definitely getting. This was definitely better than any of the DC figures. Like I said, certainly better than any of the second wave DC figures. So anyway, let's talk about his articulation. And again, it's very simple. This is a 90s action figure, a 1990 action figure, so practically an 80s action figure. But this is standard articulation at the time. The head rotates all the way around, and the arms rotate all the way around the shoulders. And that's it for the articulation on the arms. There's no elbow articulation. There's no wrist articulation. We weren't getting that fancy yet. There's no waist articulation. He can't turn at the waist. His legs can kick up about that far and can kick back about that far. So he can do the splits no problem. And like the Superpowers figures that acted as the inspiration for Captain America, he does have knee articulation. Pretty good knee articulation. That goes back a little further than most Superpowers, I think. So again, basic vintage basic vintage action figure articulation. This is just what we got back then. So then we have Captain America's mighty shield, and you can see it's molded in white plastic, and it has paint applications for the white stripes and the blue disc in the middle with the white star on there. The white star and the white stripe, of course, is part of the molded plastic. And as it says on the package, we can clip Captain America's shield to his wrist. And I always found the best way to do that is to put it on this way and kind of turn it that way. And then once you have it on the wrist, push it back just a little bit, gently push it back so it fits on there snugly. And that's how Captain America can hold the shield. So that's not the only way that we can have Captain America hold the shield, though, because we also have the shield launcher. And I find that it also works best to put that on in a similar fashion. There we go. And let's see the shield launcher in action. Hopefully it still works after 40 years of being in a package. So you can see there's like a little beam here, and that slides gently into the shield launcher. You can see that there's a little groove here. You can see the spring inside. Slide it all the way back till it clicks. And there we go. You can see it sticks out a little bit. And then hopefully it won't get lost in my room. Hopefully it'll land in this pile of action figures here and get wedged in it. That's what I'm hoping for. So we press the button and let's see what happens. Oh, it still works. So that's pretty cool. Now, this being well over 30, nearly 40-year-old toy at this point, we got about 6 years until this is a 40-year-old toy. I would recommend not displaying it with the shield in the launcher, because that's an old spring and it could go at any point. It could get warped, it could break, who knows what could happen to it. I would recommend being very gentle with this shield launcher. And like the glue probably isn't even going to hold this thing together very well these days because it's so old. So use it sparingly. That's what I would say. I would say, again, display Captain America just holding a shield. That's probably the best way to do it. And like I said, I bought this guy because I'd been collecting a lot of Superpowers lately, and I figured he looked good with my Superpowers collection. And even though he's a Marvel character, he's my favorite Marvel character, and I've got the Phantom standing in my bat cave. I might as well have Captain America hanging out with my DC guys as well. So, and I might try to get some more of these. I might try to get Hulk or Spider-Man or somebody like that, Punisher. Hell, I might try to recollect the whole wave. This one was pretty affordable to get him in the package. I got an offer on it for like $20, and I figure for a carded figure from during that time period, $20 is pretty good. And that was a special offer somebody sent me on eBay, like they tend to sometimes. So I couldn't resist it because I really wanted to get me one of these Captain Americas anyway. I figured if I get him in the package, I know he's got his shield, I know everything's in good shape. And won't have to worry about too many paint rubs or anything like that. So I might as well go ahead. It wasn't much more expensive to do that than to get the next, nicest loose Captain America. So I figured that was probably worth doing. And then, like, I'd actually got him a few weeks ago, and then I thought to myself, well, hey, 4th of July is just around the corner. Why don't I save it for the 4th of July, and then we can do a special thing for the 4th of July to honor the birth of my country. So there we go. Great figure. Not the best figure that Captain America would have under Toy Biz, though, because, like I said, Toy Biz would, be uh, doing Marvel figures for the remainder of the 1990s and on into like the early part of the 2000s. Like I said, they did all those animated series lines, and those did really well. And just when it seemed like steam was running out on those, that was when Toy Biz decided to do some X-Men movie figures, because the X-Men movie was coming out, and those were in 6-inch scale and more highly articulated than a lot of the figures that they were doing at the time, and those sold ridiculously well. So then, of course, the next thing you think, if you got the Marvel license and your X-Men toys are doing well, hey, let's do a line of Spider-Man toys that's compatible with it. So they did a line called Spider-Man Classics, and their idea was to put a lot of articulation into the figures at this point, use the same kind of scale and high quality sculpting and high quality paint applications that we used on the X-Men movies, but use them for Spider-Man figures and up the ante on the articulation, because some of the more popular Spider-Man figures they've done in both the Marvel Superheroes line and the animated Spider-Man line were the super articulated ones. So let's just do a whole line of super articulated Spider-Man, and that did so well they decided to do a similar line as like an overall Marvel Comics line. And of course, one of the characters in that first wave of a line called Marvel Legends, Captain America, because of course he's got to be. So eventually, Marvel, I guess they made a better deal with Hasbro, especially considering how like they were actually part of the same company as like technically Toy Biz owned them. But I guess they just merged all that together once they sold the license to Hasbro, and Hasbro's had it ever since. Oddly enough, I think the earliest Marvel Legends figures that Hasbro did were not as good as the stuff Toy Biz was doing. And I think they probably thought so too, because they shifted focus to a 3 3/4 inch line called Marvel Universe, and those were some pretty fantastic figures. I love Marvel Universe. But eventually, I think they got to the point where they felt comfortable trying Marvel Legends again, and they've been going strong ever since. I think at this point, the Hasbro Marvel Legends are better than the Toy Biz ones ever were. But at the time, Toy Biz was like about the high watermark of superhero action figures during the height of their Marvel Legends days. So, but it all started. Their whole relationship with Marvel started with this humble line of Marvel superheroes, and this Captain America, I think he was definitely the best of the bunch. So that's pretty much it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I want everybody to have a safe and fun 4th of July. Enjoy your cookouts. Be careful with them fireworks, because those things will take your hand off if you don't treat them with proper fear and respect. But leave the fireworks to the professionals, man. Go and see, like, you can probably go to one for free. Go to see like a professional fireworks show. That's like way better than anything you can set off in your backyard anyway. But yeah, I hope you guys have a good one. To any of my viewers in other countries, thanks for indulging my patriotism. But yeah, I hope you guys have a good day too. So and also to any of my viewers and friends in the Great White North, a belated Happy Canada Day. Canada Day is a day that I always like to observe, even as an American, since you guys are our neighbors to the north, and I love you guys up in Canada too. Like that's a great country in its own right, and a lot of my favorite people came from Canada, and you know who you are if you're watching this. So anyway, that's pretty much it for this episode. If you enjoyed it, please make sure you like and subscribe, all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment, let me know what you think about this figure and Captain America in general. Personally, to me, he's the greatest of all Marvel superheroes, and he's my absolute favorite. I love the comics, and he hasn't seen like that much success in other media. Unfortunately, he never had a cartoon series in the '90s, like say Iron Man had, and he never really had a good movie until the MCU, which is kind of ridiculous when you think about how long the character's been around. But considering how good the MCU Captain America movies were, I'd say it was worth the wait. Personally, my favorite MCU movie of all is still Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I think that is the most quality MCU movie. But really, any of them with Captain America, I just love because he's such a great character. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this episode. Thanks for watching. We will talk to you next time. Bye.